music, and we'll start with Frankie, followed by Grace, followed by David.
Intended, but as the songwriter wrote, the melody lingers on. They may take you from me, I'll miss your warm caress, but though they take you from me, I'll still possess the way you wear your hat, the way you sip your tea, the memory of all that. No, no, they can't take that away from me. The way your smile just means, the way you sing off key, the way you haunt my dreams. Oh, oh, they can't take that away from me. We may never, never meet again on the bumpy road to love. Still, I'll always, always keep the memory of the way you hold your knife, the way we danced so free, the way you changed my life. Oh, no, they can't take that away from me. No, they can't take that away. They can't take that away. They can't take that away from me.
A nod out to Tony and Dave.
I need to move the stand back for me. Life is easy when you're above the mountain, and you've got peace of mind like you've never known. But when things change and you're down in the valley, don't lose faith, for you're never alone. And the God on the mountain is still God in the valley. When things go wrong, He'll make them right. And the God in the good times is still God in the bad times. The God of the day is still God of the night. That's when faith is really at its best. And the God of the mountain is still God in the valley. When things go wrong, He'll make them right. And the God of the good times is still God of the bad times. The God of the day is still God of the night. The God of the day is still God of the night.
You can probably tell by the outfits that Frankie and Grace are in the group. And this handsome young man is David Hunt. He's a senior at South Garner High School. And he's going next year to East Carolina to major in music. Thank you very much.
There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. All the cattle are standing like statues. All the cattle are standing like statues. They don't turn their heads as they see me ride by. But a little brown maverick is winking her eye. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling.
because you know how families go. His high school choir director. They spent 1 year on Zoom. You know what it's like being a choir on Zoom? It's terrible. Terrible. You can only hear yourself. It's not fun. If anybody else is in the house and they clam up. And then this year we were at the Cardinal North Hills. We had a nice place to rehearse there. And we had a hybrid with some people on Zoom and some people in person. Masked. And how much fun is that? Apparently enough to keep coming. So these people cannot stop coming, and we thank you. And here we are, and we are delighted that you're here. And we're delighted that our gentlemen are here again. Dave Albert, who we'll hear from later, our percussionist. He's also known as Teresa's son.
Our kitchen shall then
She died on October 31st, 2019. She was the daughter of a British immigrant, an English mother and a Scottish father, and she grew up in Hope County. She spent several years teaching for a program that assisted youth obtain high school equivalency and later served as the director of the Wake County Gardening and Lighting Program. She also served many years on the Raleigh Greenway Commission, where she got to know a lot of local politicians and community leaders. And we are pretty sure those politicians and community leaders are living from she. She had lots to say. She made a big difference. Then the next person we lost was Judith Jenkins. And Judith was born in Pennsylvania. We lost her in February 20, just before the pandemic. And like Sheila, she had a heart to serve. Right after college, Judith went to the Peace Corps and returned for 2 years. And she stayed active in that organization all the way through. For 42 years, Kim lived in Maryland, where she was a teacher and a high school principal with a soft spot for GED students. Legally blind as a child, Judith was a volunteer reader for the North Carolina Reading Service, which broadcasts 24/7. Judith's leadership style was one of quiet confidence and kindness. Then we had Frances Stanley. She came to us in the fall of 2019, and before we knew it, the world was shut down. So we never had a concert like this with Frances. We never did. And you know what? We were robbed. Frances was very special too. Frances was a Johnston, North Carolina native, and she brought life, and a lot of excitement wherever she landed. Her creative skills were not only visible through her profession, which was as a hairstylist, and boy, I have been a lot to talk about when Frances was with her hair. So they talk about mice. No. We Southerners talk about mosquitoes. And we were kind of, we started out as a support group, and then it was just morphed into being a place of advice and learning. And so I learned about some Canadian composers. Those the last two pieces you heard were by Sarah Cortell, a young and Canadian composer. And now we're going to sing one piece by Connie Caldwell. I'm afraid we'll sing the wrong key. That did happen once in high school when I was doing somewhere, and every time we would start, there was a pair of me go, and everybody would want to start on that, but we'll start on the key that you want us from.
So won't you come with me where the Wood River flows? The little Wood River knows that it goes to nowhere, but that doesn't stop it flowing, or those willows growing, or all of the lovers showing their hearts to each other there. So won't you come with me where the Wood River flows? The little Wood River knows.
found some singing from you, and I think on your pews you found some sing-along. So ladies, is it time for us to go have a little seat? And Melody. Melody's going to be our leader.
Okay, so you get the chance to sing now. So we're going to start out with Ain't She Sweet? And each song I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. I learned some things myself looking some of this up. I'm sure Elizabeth looked some of it up too and learned some things too. Ain't She Sweet was written by Milton Ager and Jack Yellen in 1926. And Ager's inspiration for writing the song was his toddler daughter. I have a toddler granddaughter. Look at me cry too. Her name was Shana, and later in her life, she was married and called Shana Alexander, and she was a political commentator on 60 Minutes on CBS. The song was very, getting back to Milton Ager, the song was very popular during the first half of the 20th century. It was even recorded by the Beatles in 1961. Milton Ager and Jack Yellen were prolific songwriters, and they were both elected to the Songwriters Hall of Fame. In 1929, they wrote another of the most popular songs of the early 20th century, Happy Days Are Here Again. So we all learned something. I learned something about that. So let's sing Ain't She Sweet? About our little daughters and granddaughters. Hey, isn't she sweet? So now I know where that came from. Okay, our next piece is Blue Moon. Blue Moon was the only Rodgers and Hart hit that wasn't specifically written for a stage or screen production. The tune was written in 1933, but with different lyrics. In 1934, the Blue Moon lyrics that we were about to sing were added. In 1948, I have not heard of this fellow, but maybe some of you have. Billy Eckstine, I think I'm saying that right, revived the piece with a new recording. And from that time on, the song became a jazz and pop standard with recordings by Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, and Elvis Presley. We all know those names. And you may also know that there was a shoebop version of this recorded in 1961 by the Marcells, which was quite different, but a lot of fun. Okay, so Blue Moon. Wonderful drummer and our bass player. Okay, our next piece is Love Me Tender. And this was originally a Civil War song called Raleigh, and which was published in 1861. Raleigh had music written by George Poulton and words by W.W. Fosdick. It later became popular in college glee clubs and barbershop quartets, as well as the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. The principal writer of the lyrics was Ken Darby, who also adapted Poulton's Civil War tune, which was in the public domain. The song was published by Elvis Presley Music and credited to Presley and Darby's wife, Vera Matson. Presley received co-songwriting credit due to his publishing deal, which demanded songwriters concede 50% of the credit of their song if they wanted Presley to record it. A pretty sweet deal. Presley had songwriting input on only a very small number of the many songs he recorded. Darby was often asked about his decision to credit the song to his wife along with Presley, and his standard response was an acid because she didn't write it either. Okay, so Love Me Tender. Love me tender, love me sweet, tell me when we go. You have made my life complete, and I love you so. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love you, and I always will. Love me tender, love me dear, tell me you are mine. I'll be yours forevermore, till the end of time. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love you, and I always will. Okay, beautiful. You are singing so well. And then our last one is Dream a Little Dream of Me, and here's some history about that. It is a 1931 song with music by Fabian Andre and Wilbur Schwant. No, we'd say German Schwand, or is it Schwand? I'm not sure. And lyrics by Gus Kahn, another German name. It was first recorded in February 1931 by Ozzie Nelson and also by Wayne King and his orchestra, with vocals by Ernie Burchill. A popular standard, it has seen more than 60 other versions recorded, among them Dinah Shore, Ella Fitzgerald, and Doris Day. But one of the highest chart ratings was the recording by the Mamas and the Papas in 1968 with Cass Elliot on lead vocals. Michelle Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas spent her childhood in Mexico, where her parents were friends of Fabian Andre, the composer. That is the assumed reason this tune was resurrected for recording by the Mamas and the Papas. So let's sing Dream a Little Dream of Me. Stars shine bright above you, my face seems to whisper I love you. Birds singing in the sycamore tree, dream a little dream of me. Stay night, night and kiss me. God told me time and tell me
put a smile on your face because I've heard it makes you look 10 years younger. I'm going to go around grinning all the time. The pandemic did something to my balance, both here and in my feet. First of all, I can't begin. We've already remembered those special singers, but I have to remember my special audience. This lady smiled at me every time I saw her, and every time I saw her, she said, "Have you got us a story?" Blanche Triplett was indeed a lady for your heart. Elizabeth's mother, and she sat right there every time and smiled at me and laughed when I told my stories. So there's a special remembrance. Now let's get serious with it. I want to know, wait a minute, I can't lean on that thing. I want to know how many of you know anybody named Junior today? Some people still know some juniors. Well, in my small hometown, it must have been the most popular name because I can think of at least 4, and my brother's sitting back there and my sister too, and they may be able to remember more. But at any rate, I want to tell you what I have labeled in my travels the Junior stories. Junior was a young man in the community. My daddy had a grocery store right there. There was only one main drag on West End. Main Street was the only drag there was. So my daddy had a grocery store on Main Street. And Junior, bless his heart, got to be 16 and went to try to get his driver's license. Came back in with his face all soured down and said, "Oh, Mr. Farmer, I couldn't get my driver's license." And Daddy said, "What, Junior, what in the world was the matter?" And he said, "Well, I just couldn't do that paralyzed parking." Well, you see, in West End, we all have what I guess you call that diagonal parking. You can just pull it right in front of the store. We didn't have any place in West End for anybody to practice paralyzed parking. So anyway, Junior set about practicing paralyzed parking so he could go back to Aberdeen and get his driver's license. In the meantime, Oscar Bailey, who was the law in West End at the time, he knew because everybody knew that Junior didn't get his license, and Oscar knew it. And yet, when his mama sent him on an errand to run back home to get something from the house, Oscar pulled him over and gave him a ticket. Everybody in West End was irate. And now Junior, bless his heart, had to go to Carthage. And in my daddy's way of thinking, nobody wanted to go to Carthage. You only had to go to Carthage because Carthage was the county seat. So Junior had to go to Carthage. Well, you could go from West End down to Eastwood and turn left and go into Carthage that way, or you could go across by Thomas Crossroads and Harris Crossroads and kind of both go through this way. Like the hypotenuse of a right triangle, I got to get a little math teacher in there. So anyway, so Junior set out to go across country, and he got turned around, and he didn't know if he was going to get to Carthage in time for his court case. And he saw this old man sitting up on his porch, and so he pulled into the man's driveway, and he said, "How do you get to Carthage?" And the man said, "My daughter takes me." So anyway, after Junior had been to court, then and he came in my daddy's grocery store again. He and my daddy were friends, and he came in my grocery store again, and he was all dressed up. And Daddy said, "Junior, what do people say to you when they see you dressed up like that?" And Junior said, "Well, today they said, 'Will the defendant please rise?'" Anyway, now that Junior had his driver's license, he was on to a driving career. And he got hired by FedEx to be a delivery man. And his first time to drive was to come up into Wake County. Well, Junior hadn't left hardly West End. He'd been out of Pinehurst and Aberdeen, but you know, maybe up to Canada, but he'd never been anywhere out of the county. So he was riding along, and he comes to this road sign that says, FUQUAYVARINA. And he thinks to himself, what in the, have I gone to a foreign country? So he goes on in and he finds a little town, and he pulls in to this fast food restaurant and goes in and he said, "How in the world do you say the name of this place?" And the girl behind the counter said, "Hardee's." So after Junior had been working for FedEx for a while, one day he drove up in a brand new truck. And this fellow said, now, Junior, is FedEx paying you that kind of money? And he said, no. He said, I got it from Billy Joe. And they said, well, we know Billy Joe's been hot after you a long time, but we didn't have any idea she'd give you a truck. And he said, well, she pulled up and wanted to know if I wanted to go to ride in her new truck. And I jumped in and we took a ride. We rode down this winding country road and we finally stopped and she got out and started taking off her clothes and she said, take anything you want. And I took the truck. They might throw me out of the church, might they? But anyway, now we're to the good part, and I have to dedicate this. Where are you, Heidi? This is dedicated to Heidi, who sang with us for years and then abandoned us. She moved to Florida. But she's been rehearsing on Zoom with us, and she flew in to do some numbers with us today. Welcome, Heidi. And this story, this Junior story is Heidi's. So when I knew Heidi was coming, I knew where we had to go today. So then FedEx decides they'll make the big transfer with Junior. He's done so well with them. They'll transfer him to Chicago. Well, his mama said, Junior, I can't let you go up there by yourself. I'll just go with you. So they went up to Chicago and found him an apartment, and everything was going along pretty well. It was spring and summer and fall, and then winter came. And they were sitting there one night at the supper table, and the newsman came on, and he said, folks, tonight we're expecting about 12 inches of snow. Park your cars on the even-numbered side of the street. So Junior got up. He said, Mama, I just got out of this coat and hat. He got up, put on his coat and hat and his gloves and his galoshes and his scarf around his neck, and he went out and moved the car. Things went along pretty well for a couple of weeks, and then one night at supper time, the newsman comes on again. He said, folks, it's a lake snow this time. We are expecting 27 inches of snow. Park your cars on the left side of the street, on the odd-numbered side of the street. So Junior got up again. He said, Mama, I'm tired of this. You help me now. Got to get him dressed. He put on his gloves and his hat and his galoshes and his scarf around his neck. To get his coat on, his heavy coat, went out and moved the car. Two more weeks went by, and they're sitting there one night eating supper, and the newsman comes on. He said, folks, we can't even determine how many inches of snow we're going to have tonight. And the lights went out and the television went off. And Junior turned to Mama and he said, Mama, what in the world am I going to do now? And she said, honey, just leave the car in the garage. Laugh a little every day.
Well, we have one thing just before we stand up, and that is celebrating a birthday. We have an honorary cardinal here, Milton Bliss, who just celebrated 95.
While the singers are coming back, I do have an unpaid announcement. I just about didn't get the punchline out about parking the garage because my throat got so dry, but anyway, wait a minute. I got to have a swig. As many of you know, for years the Cardinal Singers were sponsored by Raleigh City Parks and Rec. Well, they decided to throw us over because we didn't really fit in any of their categories. So now we are on our own. Well, while we were in the City Parks and Rec, they paid our director and our accompanist the stipend. Now that's become our responsibility. So if you've had a good time today, if you've enjoyed a note that was sung or a joke that was told, or you're just feeling benevolent, There are baskets as you leave. You'll recognize them. They've got cardinals on them. And any small contribution, the cardinals will appreciate. Is that right? Yes.
so she's going to conduct it too. If we can get her to stand. Today, and you may feel special too. You're about ready to do a premiere, because the next piece was written. It was a piece that was written before, but it was arranged just for this group by Mark Hayes, and it has not been published. It has not been sung in public before, except we're going to do it now. And I have a message from Mr. Hayes to you singers. Yes, we're like pen pals, don't you know? Please tell the Cardinal Singers that I'm so pleased they will finally get to sing in person. I will be with you in spirit. I trust and know that much loving energy will emanate from the stage to the audience. I've found that audiences are so hungry to hear well-sung live music these days after such a desert of musical events these past few years. You are just the people to inspire and uplift your listeners. Sing well, breathe deeply, and let your faces shine. All the best, Mark Hayes. My Romance. You want to tell them what it is?
This is Heart from Danny Yankees. It's by Richard Adler and Jerry Ross, and it's just for fun. Sing along if you want to, or just enjoy.
Arranged by Judith.
Oh,
just fly away forever. Right, Audrey?
Right.
We would like to sing May You Always. You're welcome to join us in Cardinals, who are here. Can you fly on down? Join us, yes. We have them back here, we have them here.
While people are coming down to sing, we have a special thank you for Elizabeth and Erlene, who have put up with us for the past 2 years, learning on Zoom, which was a treat. And they have had to figure out so much just to get us so we would be able to sing together again, which is a great gift. And we have some flowers for them, and they can pick them up right upstairs.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
May you always, and may you always come back and let's do it again next year. No more germs, okay? Let's do it again. May you always.